You talked about the city council. We have a member of the San Jose City Council here, Pierre Luigi, and he has a question.
Sure.
Hi, Steve. Thanks a lot. I mean, you spreading the facts is what's really going to wake up the country, and I think that's important. And as tough as the obstacles are, the fact is that we have the facts and figures which speak to common sense. And just to share with you on the San Jose side,
sure,
large city of 1 million people, all of the property tax we collect, houses, commercial, everything, only goes to pay pensions.
Really? Oh my God.
By 2015, it'll grow from 138 million last year, 200 million this year, to 350 million, which will also include all the sales tax we have as a city. So we have $3 billion in unfunded liability, where we provide a 250% pension match for our employees with an 8% guaranteed return. And as you know, if the return's not there, the taxpayer fits the bill. So it is a two-tier system, as you explained. Through a massive effort, we were able to get a second-tier pension on the ballot this year in San Jose called Measure W. It's sanjosefiscalreforms.com. And we're doing it because we can't negotiate it because it's in our city charter. There's no other way, and we get knocked for not negotiating a second term, but in reality, these negotiations, as you said, they're kind of secret. They're not public. I think they should be, and it's really like the UN trying to negotiate with Iran on nuclear weapons. It's impossible. So that's what we're faced with. But my question for you is, I've heard that we have about $3 trillion in unfunded liabilities in cities and counties across the country. Does this end up being a federal government where the federal government will increase everyone's taxes to bail out cities and the union infrastructure?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I worry about, that we're going to see pension bonds, and we're going to see federal taxes and federal bailouts. And I think a lot of the Obama bailouts has just been to bail out public employees. That's a big fear. But it sounds like you're doing... who put the initiative on the ballot? Was it local activists, or did
actually, I initiated the effort, and everyone told me to take it off because we couldn't get the votes. And I stayed with it, and through shame, we got the votes. But we still need to win it.
How did you get on the San Jose City Council? Well, thanks. I appreciate that a lot. Yeah.
In the year 2011, we're going to pass Amendment 29 to the U.S. Constitution called the Equalizer Amendment. One provision of that amendment will be to force the federal government to not give any increase in compensation, which would include benefits and pay, etc., to federal employees at the various levels of compensation if their voluntary termination rate falls below that of the average in the private sector. So, what I'd like to know is, can we apply something like that to the states and to the local governments, given the fact that voluntary termination rates are the most truthful indicator of the level of satisfaction with the salary, the compensation?
I know the federal employees are earning, on average, I think USA Today just had a story about double what the average private sector wage is. I assume you can do an initiative in California, or local initiatives. It sounds a little complicated, and complicated ones don't do so well, and I'm not sure about the constitutional amendment, how long that would take. But anyway, it sounds like one of the many ideas that needs to be considered to rein it in.
At the risk of making your trip back to Sacramento even longer, Steve, this is not a question for Steve, but for my fellow conservative forum members. I'm Elizabeth Brierly from Silicon Valley Taxpayers Association, and I have an opportunity for all of you. Steve said he's a local first person. As Pierluigi Oliverio mentioned, we have a two-tier system on the ballot in November in the city of San Jose. In 2008, I was on the San Jose City Structural Budget Deficit Elimination Task Force representing taxpayers. That task force is being recalled to deal specifically with the two-tier issue. If any of you would like to come help support me as a rep of taxpayers there, and there are 3 other taxpayer reps, their meetings will be September through November, and I don't have all the details yet, but I just got the memo from the...
September 29th at 6 o'clock.
September 29th, 6 o'clock at the San Jose City Wing building, and it would be fantastic to have conservative, fiscal conservative people there to support our efforts. Thank you. Thanks, Steve.
Hi there, Jeremy Carl from the Hoover Institution. Thanks for a great presentation. I just wanted to ask you, we focused a lot on going forward, and I think that's important, but there's kind of seeming to be an excessive acceptance of this notion that there's nothing we can do to kind of get back the stuff we've already promised. I'm just wondering whether we're not being clever enough about how we're thinking about it. And maybe these are just all bills of attainder or whatever, but why couldn't you tax pension benefits at differential rates or do things like that? Or if you could just talk about ideas that you've heard about that people are proposing to deal, because it's already such a bad problem that even if we fix the bleeding tomorrow, I mean, it's just going to be horrible. And so I'm just wondering, what you've heard of that.
No, that's a good point, because this was one of the funniest things when I was at the SB 919 hearing, the modest pension reform, new tier is all it basically would do for new hires. Still generous. The Democrats on the committee, basically they said, well, this only deals with, this doesn't deal with the whole problem, it only deals with going forward, so it's not going to do anything, so we're against it. Which is kind of funny. I'm like, then that would argue for doing more. So, yeah, I don't believe that there's nothing that can be done. It's just right now under the legal decisions we have right now. I just mean to say that's where it stands. I do think that there needs to be an attack on current benefits.
Yeah, no, just as a quick clarification though, I don't know, is the specific issue that the courts have ruled that if we try to do, say, differential taxation of public pensions as a class of income, because we have lots of different types of income, that would be a bill of attainder and it would be illegal? Is that?
You see, I don't know about that. I mean, that sounds like a good attack. Marcia Fritz with the California Foundation for Fiscal Responsibility, she argues that there's a way that you can legally shut down the existing pension plan, and you say, okay, you all under this pension plan are no longer, it ends today, we shut it down, and we start tomorrow with a new plan at a lower level. And she argues that it would have to be challenged legally. Another challenge comes out of Orange County. The Board of Supervisors is challenging the retroactive portion of pension increases, and it's something that would have statewide reverberations if it succeeds. And that one's probably going to go to the state court. So I do agree with you. I don't think we should give up on it. I feel negative that under the current legal regimen right now, nothing has given me a lot of hope that we can. But I do think we have to reduce I do think up to whatever your benefit is up to today, you're going to have to be made good on that. But I don't see why we're stuck paying that benefit all the way until the person retires. And I agree. And I think that's a really good idea to challenge, be more creative in those.
For you about vapor paper, if you're familiar with vapor paper and what's going on with the pension funds with that, and basically vapor paper is meaning pension funds can only trade their actual paper within each other. If it comes from a trust, it has to be third cut from the bank, and that makes it worthless. And it's backed by labor dollar, and our government is backed by labor dollar, which means that 1 out of every American right now is currently collecting unemployment or some form of social service, and 3 out of 6 Americans works for the government, whether it's pension fund heaven. What do you see happening to us in the next? Just give me the next year, give me the next 6 months. I just want to get through the rest. Look, just give me to Christmas, okay? Because I'm going to tell you, I deal with a lot of asset leverage, asset commodities, and our goal is to try and get everybody on 80-20 rule. And I'm going to tell you that I personally spoke with Larry A. Card, who's in charge of 40 trusts and 1,200 pension funds worldwide, and he totally scrapped my white paper on it and said there was no way that a pension fund would ever back their paper with an asset.
Yeah, I don't know what will happen in 6 months. In fact, if anyone looked at my investments, they would not take any investment advice from me. But obviously, at the federal level, the level of debt is.
This is all local too. Yeah. They can only trade it locally.
Yeah, I'm not really sure how to answer that.